So we were talking before about what the two main things that make it so we need conservation biology are. And they were population growth of people, which we just talked about. And the second one is the amount of resources the average person uses. And one way to think about this is an ecological footprint. And this is kind of a metaphor for the impact that you have on the planet or the environment. And it includes all the different resources you use. So that includes food you eat, gas you burn in your car, things used to make all the things you buy, and all the things you use, including like your house, your vehicle, things you use for your job, products you buy, but it also includes all of the waste that the earth needs to absorb from all of the things you use and buy. So that includes your trash, but it also includes any waste in the manufacturing process from things you buy. And it also includes things like air pollution that you don't necessarily see, but when you drive your car around or you turn on your lights, that energy generation produces carbon dioxide and other emissions that are basically wastes that the earth needs to absorb. So if you take all those things together, that gives you your ecological footprint. And if you do it for an individual, for yourself, it would basically be like asking how many Earths would we need if everyone lived like me. And so you get various answers depending on your lifestyle, how much things you buy, what kind of foods you eat, those sorts of things. So if we look at the whole Earth, so averaged across every person on the planet, 2019, the global footprint was about 1.6 Earths. And of course, this is an estimate, and if you look it up, you might get slightly different estimates. But there's pretty much consensus that it's close to 1.5 Earths. And we'll talk a little bit about how you can get more than 1 Earths for these footprint estimates. You can also make estimates. How many Earths would we need if everyone on the planet lived like the average American? How many Earths would we need if somebody lived like the average person in another country? So you can get all these different estimates. So a lot of times people want to know citizens of what country have the worst ecological footprint, so that use the absolute most resources. And a lot of people tend to think that it's the United States, but that's not actually true. People in Qatar and Kuwait actually use the most resources, and that's per person. The US comes in at number 5, which isn't really something to brag about. There are a lot of countries on the planet. And you can see there's some other European countries that are a little bit ahead of us, like Denmark, or just a little bit behind us. So similar ecological footprints as what we have. The reason people talk about the United States a lot with things like this is because of all these countries listed right here, the US has by far the most people. So when you put all of us together, that ecological footprint is actually a huge deal for the planet because the United States has the 3rd most people in the world. So that adds up to actually a lot. But per person, we're not the worst. We're also not anywhere close to the best. If we look at this world ecological footprint, we can see kind of what different types of land uses are contributing to this increase in ecological footprint. So first of all, you can see that overall, since 1960s, in the 1960s, we were below needing 1 Earth, so we were sustainable. And once you cross the 1 Earth, that means that our current lifestyle is unsustainable. And you can see that a lot of things have increased. The red has gotten bigger. That's built up land. So things like urbanization. We see that croplands have been increasing. But where the biggest part comes in is the carbon footprint. So the carbon footprint of all the people on the planet has been increasing such that we have now exceeded the amount of resources that we have. And a lot of that has to do with how well the planet Earth can absorb our wastes. And so carbon footprint, meaning all of our greenhouse gases,